Welcome to Memphians on the Move's 2021 series of Explore Memphis. This season, we'll be taking a closer look at economic influencers and drivers in the areas of health, business, hospitality, and education. Now, studies have shown that communities of color have been suffering disproportionately as a result of COVID-19. Black and Latino Americans are far behind in the charge to get vaccinated, both across the country and right here at home. Joining me today is Pastor Keith Norman, Vice President of Government Relations at Baptist Memorial Healthcare and Senior Pastor at First Baptist Church Broad. Now, Dr. Norman, the aggressiveness and the uncertainty of the pandemic has led to a great amount of hesitancy as it relates to the COVID-19 vaccine, especially in minority and communities of color. Why do you suppose we're seeing such low turnouts in these sectors?
Well, first of all, accessibility has been an issue, but also information and the development of the vaccine. We saw this vaccine come on in under a year. It hit the market very quickly, and we know that typically it takes many years of research to have an effective vaccine. But also when you consider the history of African Americans, we can't overlook things that have been a part of our experience. And when people try to rush you to a point of decision without at least entertaining your experience to talk you through it and to let you express how you feel, education and exchange is not equitable at that point. I believe people will get there, and I hope we're moving there now, but obviously it will take some time.
So if safety concerns are causing hesitancies, what do you see as the key to dispelling these myths and making people feel confident about receiving the vaccine?
Well, a clear stream of information. Remember, we've had a lot of misinformation surrounding COVID-19 and then the regularity of change that comes even from the CDC of what you can do and what you cannot do, and the efficacy of the vaccines that are on the market. Explaining that to people and letting them know that the baseline oftentimes for something even like the flu vaccine is only about 50%. And so when you start looking at Johnson & Johnson, which reaches about 72 to 74%, Moderna and Pfizer that are in the high 90s, then people will be calmer because they have a baseline to measure it by. So safety is a concern, but I do believe when you give clear information, it'll make a difference.
Okay, so Dr. Norman, let's talk a little about the complacency, or rather becoming relaxed and not wearing the face coverings. How does this tend to impact the community coupled with the issue of the vaccine hesitancy?
Well, when people don't wear their face masks, they are at greater risk of contracting and possibly spreading the virus. Even people who have been vaccinated can still be carriers of the virus, but maybe not have the same symptoms or the same impact, but they could share it with someone else. And so we want to remain vigilant in doing that while we're getting included in the numbers. I think we're opening up even more to offer the vaccine to a wider group of people. And so now that that opportunity is available, we're going to see some things where people can really get back to having a good time. But until then, we still need to keep that mask on, and we need to take that vaccine.
Now, for some communities, accessibility has come into play, and you've kind of touched on that. So how can we do a better service of making sure that those who want the vaccine are actually able to get it?
Well, we have to look at the demographics of every community. We are, by and large, a working class community. The Latinx community is a working class community. Monday through Friday are difficult days to get a vaccine for working class people who especially work by the hour. I can't take off and sit in a line for 2 or 3 hours. I can't take off and travel somewhere for that period of time. Innovative things like vaccinations on Sundays at churches would be a great way to get a large population of the African American community vaccinated, and then pods going into communities with stakeholders who are already a part of the community. Remember, when you go into the Latinx community, there's going to be a lot of pushback because Latinx people, by and large, have been tricked, if you will, by different things where people came in and did raids and other things. So we have to have people who are already user-friendly to those communities so that they can go in. The church is user-friendly to the African American community. By and large, especially here in Memphis, we are a very church-centric, church-oriented community. I think those could be used as well.
Okay, so finally, Dr. Norman, what do you say to those at greater risk with COVID-19 who have yet to receive or who have reservations about getting the vaccinations?
Short answer, get the vaccination. But sit down with your doctor, your medical practitioner, and talk it through. there are some things that people need to be aware of. They need to know what to look for in their body. There's a great app that's on the phone as soon as you take the vaccine. I've had both of my shots, and so I follow through on responding so that they will have the data and know how to guide people through this process. You may have some soreness of the arm, but you will have soreness of the arm with any needle going into your arm. And so those kinds of things happen. I would encourage people to get information. I'm also a person of prayer. I tell people to pray about choices and decisions that they make. And when they pray about those choices and decisions, go forward. But remember, there are many other risks that you take every day. You crank up your car and you drive from your house to the grocery store. That's a risk as well. I do not think that the risks are even equitable in any way. This vaccine is proven to be life-saving and good. I think we should take the vaccine.
Well, Dr. Keith Norman, Vice President of Government Relations at Baptist Memorial Healthcare and Senior Pastor of First Baptist Church Broad, thank you so much for your time with us today.
Thank you.
Our goal is to help Memphis grow. We give member businesses the support they need to reach their full potential. We work with site selectors and relocating companies to demonstrate the advantages of doing business in Memphis. We advocate with local, state, and federal governments on behalf of our members, and we pursue investment opportunities that enrich our communities. We also partner with educational and vocational programs to provide a skilled workforce. Plus, we support initiatives that help make Memphis a great place to live. Join your Greater Memphis Chamber today.
Come and listen to my story about a man named Jed. A poor mountaineer barely kept his family fed. And then one day he was shooting at some food, and up through the ground come a bubbling crude. Black gold, Texas tea. Well, the first thing you know, old Jed's a millionaire. The kinfolk said, Jed, move away from there. Said, California is the place you ought to be. So they loaded up the truck and they moved to Beverly.
Opportunity. What we deliver by delivering.
Watching Memphians on the Move's 2021 series Explore Memphis. Greater Memphis Chamber Small Business Council offers programming to small to mid-sized member companies. Its resources are critical for development, sustainability, and growth in the marketplace. As lead chamber champion of Small Business Council and friend to the show, Patricia McKinney joins us for a closer look at resiliency. Patricia, welcome back to Explore Memphis.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Well, now, when you were here last, you introduced the Small Business Council and gave us a snippet of what business recovery and resiliency looked like amid the peak of the pandemic. What are some of the concerns that businesses are encountering now, a year into this pandemic?
Well, an effective way that we determine what's taking place in the world of small business owners is to facilitate a survey. So just to review, the survey that we did back in October gave a snapshot of what business owners needed in their toolbox when the pandemic occurred, like having more cash reserves and getting technology in place for their remote staff. So we decided to administer a follow-up survey. So according to the findings, we honed in on a few areas of concern that I want to share with you today. 33% of respondents said that they were challenged with engaging and retaining customers. 24% want to know how to effectively manage their staff and support their team. Now, nearly 18% want to locate new processes so that they can be more efficient. And then 13% wanted to know about the rules and regulations related to COVID-19. So all of this data is really helpful for us as we try to uncover those needs of local small companies.
So, Patricia, how is the Small Business Council responding to these concerns?
Well, first of all, I want to share with you the format of the Small Business Council. The nucleus of the council is made up of a think tank, and they're a group of dedicated small business leaders who are also chamber members. And we have the privilege of having Dottie Summerfield Gusty of Summerfield and Associates, and she serves with me as co-chair. So with the feedback from the survey, in addition to the insight gained from the think tank, we're able to shape events and programming that will really help us with the areas of concern. For example, last month we had a Lunch in the Know event. And with that event, the focus of that was the best social media practices for 2021. So this addresses one of those challenges that we uncovered, which was how do they really find out how to connect with customers and reach those customers during this time. And so this is a valuable tool because social media is a great way to reach segments of people. So being in the trenches as small business leaders, our think tank brings perspective that we really lean heavily on. So which every event, every one of those events that we do, we want to arm our small business owners with relevant information that they can take back to their companies.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about business resiliency in terms of those companies that continue to push through the barriers and those that are growing?
That's a great question, Stephanie. Resiliency, one of those definitions is the ability to spring back into shape. And there was an interesting perspective that was shared during our resiliency series last year. And it was this: we are not able to just pick up where we left off before the pandemic started. So COVID-19 has changed us forever. However, there are businesses who have been able to keep going, and those are the ones that have been able to see unique opportunities through a new lens. Some have been able to expand their customer base by using virtual platforms. And then others have created other services and products to accommodate for the loss of revenue that they've had in other areas. So we're really fortunate to have an amazing group of small businesses here in Memphis, and we want to do everything that we can to support them.
So tell us, what makes a company a good fit for Greater Memphis Chamber Small Business Council?
Stephanie, that's another great question. Any member of the Greater Memphis Chamber with 1 to 500 employees is welcome to join. Interestingly enough, Stephanie, 85% of the Greater Memphis Chamber investors are categorized as small businesses. So we understand their importance to the landscape of our economy. If there are any viewers out there who have a small business and they want to reach out, please don't hesitate to reach out to me by email. Patricia McKinney, that's P. McKinney at memphischamber.com.
Okay, so Patricia, are there any upcoming events that businesses should be aware of that might impact their operations?
Absolutely, Stephanie. We have one coming up on March 23rd, and it's called Leading Through Crisis. And the purpose of that event is to present ways for them to remain healthy and resilient through trying times. It's not a matter of if something will happen, but when. And preparation is key to really be prepared. So registration is available. So they're welcome to go to memphischamber.com/events, or they can email Tanja Lee at Lee, that's Lee, at memphischamber.com, so they can reserve their spot.
Patricia, thank you so much for joining us today. And speaking of good fits, let's talk a little business with Dottie Summerfield Justy, owner of Summerfield Associates Incorporated.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. I appreciate it. How are you?
Great. You?
Great. Thank you, Stephanie. Summerfield Associates is a 30-year-old recruiting and consulting company. And like so many of my fellow small businesses in Memphis, this past year we have been faced with unimaginable circumstances. The pandemic, social unrest, the economy, and not forgetting that wicked snowstorm early this year. But through this past year, I've been heartened by the resiliency that so many of my fellow small business owners have shown. The agility of them to bend with each circumstance or challenge that's been placed before us is inspiring, and we learn from each other. I'm honored to serve this year as the co-chair of the Greater Memphis Chamber Small Business Council, and it too has gone through a major transformation. Now more than ever, we are focusing on the tools that our small businesses need to begin their recovery. Our program is determined by what our small business members are telling us they need the most. And with the help of the volunteers in our think tank, as well as a series of surveys, we found out what small businesses need. Last year was difficult. Somewhere between 61% of our businesses said they showed a loss in sales in profit in the fourth quarter of 2020. This year, that number's dropped to 48%, but that's close to 50% of our companies, our small businesses, that are still struggling. We're in the process of producing a playbook for resiliency. That playbook is based on the practices and the information that we learned when we ran our Prosper series, as well as the events that the Small Business Council is going to put on through the coming year. That playbook will help us when that next crisis comes. So we hope that you'll consider joining us, be a part of Memphis that's moving forward, and let's make our small businesses stronger than ever in 2021.
Our goal is to help Memphis grow. We give member businesses the support they need to reach their full potential. We work with site selectors and relocating companies to demonstrate the advantages of doing business in Memphis. We advocate with local, state, and federal governments on behalf of our members, and we pursue investment opportunities that enrich our communities. We also partner with educational and vocational programs to provide a skilled workforce. Plus, we support initiatives that help make Memphis a great place to live. Join your Greater Memphis Chamber today.
Welcome back to Memphians on the Move, Explore Memphis. Memphis Black Restaurant Week just wrapped up its 6th successful showcase of Black-owned restaurants in the city. It's the annual occurrence that helps promote small and minority businesses while providing jobs and boosting the local economy in the food industry. Here today is the creator and event producer, Cynthia Daniels. So Cynthia, first of all, congratulations to you. Now, I know that you launched this showcase 6 years ago here in Memphis. So what stands out most to you for year 6 versus the first year?
Wow. When I look back to the first year, I definitely would say the amount of support that I've gotten from the city. This has grown beyond me, beyond the restaurants. You know, the first year we started with 8 restaurants and $85,000 was spent. And our last one had 21 restaurants all over the city, and we cleared, over $500,000 for people actually purchasing meals and supporting restaurants. So it is just so big, and I'm so proud of it.
So this is exciting.
Yes.
Tell me about some of the original restaurants that were featured this year that have participated since the beginning.
So I would definitely want to acknowledge Chef Tam, owner of Chef Tam's Underground Cafe. She joined us our 2nd year. She was very brave, coming from Dallas to open up a restaurant, and she actually joined us after only be open 2 weeks. So 2 weeks open, then she jumps into this event, and the city just slammed her. We kind of, helped her get her feet wet, but she absolutely has been one of the top chefs, I would say, in the city. She's been on national food television shows. Yes. And one of the things I love about her, she always says this in every interview, that she has not had to advertise at all because she participated in Memphis Black Restaurant Week.
Well, that's what Southerners do. We just wrap our arms around you and we go sit down and eat your food.
That's right, and we bring our friends
right.
the next time.
So, all right, what did you find most exciting for some of the newer restaurants who were participating?
I think the most exciting thing is that people get to discover these hidden treasures, right? They really haven't heard of them, and they decide to plan a full day around it. They may live in Cordova, but they see this restaurant is downtown, where they're going to make a day of it. Not only will they go to the restaurant, but they get to go to the participating Black businesses in the other area. So I think it's really cool that people kind of make an adventure of it.
Okay. So Cynthia, we all know that you are great at what you do. And I'm sure that you have seen similar events such as this across the country.
Yeah.
How does Memphis compare to markets such as Nashville or Atlanta in terms of Black restaurants and their ability to compete?
Wow, that's a really interesting question, and I definitely have seen a lot of similar events after I launched mine back in 2016. And I definitely say there's just more of a community sense of ownership when it comes to the Memphis market. I mean, we take pride in what we create, and food scene is a lot more present, I would say, than in Nashville and in Atlanta. So I think that's the biggest difference, that we we're proud of it. Anybody that comes into town, we have to take them to the best local Black-owned restaurants.
Okay. So in my search, what stands out tremendously are the year-to-year numbers and the impact on the food industry overall. Can you unpack the annual revenues that the restaurants garner by participating in the Memphis Black Restaurant Week?
Absolutely. So I definitely can say that pretty much every participating restaurant will either triple or quadruple what they do on a weekly basis when they participate in Memphis Black Restaurant Week. I think about Sage. They're located in downtown Memphis. The owner has told me since they started participating in this event, March is always their biggest month every year, something that they look forward to, and it really helps them sustain throughout the year. So one thing that restaurants actually get, it's more than just a week of participation. They actually get people coming before the actual week because they want to beat the crowds, and then they come afterwards because they want to bring their friends. So, you know, from a full standpoint with this event, I can say that we pretty much double our numbers every year. Again, we started with $85,000 spent in 1 week. The next year was almost $200,000. So it continues to grow, and it really helps those restaurants to continue to operate. They get to actually reinvest in their businesses. I've seen them hire more staff, branch out into catering. The waitresses that I even talk to, they tell me they're refurnishing apartments just from tip money in the week. So you're really pouring back into the economy with Black Restaurant Week.
So Cynthia, in creating such an impactful event, and it most definitely is, what are your hopes that the city will gain from an economic position?
You know, I definitely would say that this is something that people really look forward to every year. They start saving in the winter months because they know every day they want to get out and support Black restaurants. So it definitely stimulates the economy. We have people traveling from Little Rock, from Jackson, Mississippi, Jackson, Tennessee, even St. Louis to come and patronize. So not only are Memphians pouring back into the economy, but we have people from the outside making sure that they support those Black restaurants. So I love the impact that it has in the city.
Well, that's excellent. Okay, so Cynthia, before I let you go, how can restaurants plan for next year if they are wanting to participate in this week?
So it's a really simple process. We actually put out an open call for the newer restaurants. We asked them, hey, if you wanted to participate, we'd love you to fill out an application. So it's a really simple process. Okay. I also know that every restaurant is not social media savvy, so I'm very intentional about reaching out to newer restaurants to see if they're interested. So it's a kind of a two-way relationship.
Gotcha, that's great. Creator of Memphis Black Restaurant Week, Cynthia Daniels, thank you so much for sharing some of your time with us today. We really appreciate it.
I had so much fun. Thank you.
We're back with more Memphians on the Move, Explore Memphis. Earlier in the month, the Greater Memphis Chamber, along with the University of Memphis and Memphis Tourism, hosted its annual Memphis to Nashville virtual edition. The two-day event was nothing short of outstanding, with assemblies in health, transportation, and entertainment, as well as meetings with legislative leaders and Governor Bill Lee. Let's take a look.
Memphis Chamber has successfully landed its annual legislative assembly that takes important issues from Memphis to the state's capital in Nashville, Tennessee. This year's Mem to Nash consisted of a two-day online symposium starting with meetings with Tennessee Department of Health Commissioner Dr. Lisa Piercy and followed by a meeting with the Tennessee General Assembly. There was a session conducted by Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development Commissioner Bobby Rolfe, while day one wrapped up with a meeting featuring Governor Bill Lee, along with the governor's deputy, Lang Wiseman, and senior advisor, John DeBerry. Day two of Mem to Nash began with a meeting with Tennessee Entertainment Commission Executive Director Bob Raines, followed by a meeting with Tennessee Department of Transportation Commissioner Clay Bright and Deputy Commissioner Paul Deeks. Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson and Minority Senate Caucus Chair Ramesh Akbari led independent meetings followed by Speaker of the House Cameron Sexton and Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally. The final meeting of the day was led by House Minority Representative Karen Camper, with closing remarks of direction and gratitude by President and CEO of Greater Memphis Chamber, Beverly Robertson. The full 2-day Mem to Nash event lives under the leadership of Greater Memphis Chamber's Chief Public Policy Officer, Bobby White. A special thank you to the 2021 sponsors of Memphis to Nashville Baptist Memorial Healthcare, Memphis Grizzlies, Regional One Health, AutoZone, Methodist Lebanon Healthcare, BNSF Railway, and AARP.
Our goal is to help Memphis grow. We give member businesses the support they need to reach their full potential. We work with site selectors and relocating companies to demonstrate the advantages of doing business in Memphis. We advocate with local, state, and federal governments on behalf of our members, and we pursue investment opportunities that enrich our communities. We also partner with educational and vocational programs to provide a skilled workforce. Plus, we support initiatives that help make Memphis a great place to live. Join your Greater Memphis Chamber today.
Miracles. What we deliver by delivering.
AARP is here to help people 50 plus live their best life. We are a nonprofit, nonpartisan social mission member organization. People value AARP in different ways, from information and products to advocacy and education. Across the state and right here in Memphis and in the Mid-South, we work alongside community organizations with elected leaders to increase access to broadband internet, for telehealth, to reduce the significant health disparities facing our residents, and to help make communities age-friendly so we can age in place right here at home. Congratulations to Greater Memphis Chamber, the University of Memphis, and Memphis Tourism for another outstanding Memphis to Nashville Legislative Assembly. Mem to Nash was a 2-day event that took our local issue to the state level. AARP is proud to support the work of our chamber.
To learn more about how your business can support the efforts to cultivate and grow our local economy, visit memphischamber.com and join us. We'll see you next time on Explore Memphis. I'm your host, Stephanie White. Thank you for watching.
Miracles. What we deliver by delivering.